So I was looking for TikTok audios for my Butters cosplay, and I came across a couple audios where Butters was a pimp. And I had completely forgotten about Butters being a pimp, and I was just like, how did this happen? I had to go back and rewatch the episode. And oh my gosh, the entire time I was watching the episode, I was just so taken back by how much it reminded me of a book I finished earlier this year. Called Pimpology by Pimp and Ken, written by Karen Hunter. I highly, highly recommend that you read that book, especially if you're a girl. I never would have thought that I would have read that book, and I'm just so happy that I did. I actually listened to it on Audible. I do plan on purchasing the physical copy for my personal library, just because I have to have it for my personal library. It's just such an interesting book, and it basically is a great book to show a perspective on like how some men view women and how women can allow themselves to be treated. And basically, the book opens up with Ken sharing his perspective on how he views the world. And he basically views the world as there being two categories of people. So there's pimps and there's 304s. And he believes that you either give orders or you take them, you either work for yourself or you work for somebody else. And basically, that pimping is the controlling or mastering of another person. And I find it interesting that at the beginning of the book, he makes it a note to mention that he became who he was because of his father. He says his father treated 304s like trash. He beat them and they still never left. And he witnessed all of this. He said that this taught him that men could have a power over others, making them do anything. And what's very eerie and dark is he goes on to say that instead of using terror and violence like his father did, he used psychological warfare that he coins pimpology. And he says, and I quote, which is often more treacherous than physical abuse. So I find it super interesting as well that he calls his dad daddy. And if you go on to read the book, which I highly recommend that you do, the 304s refer to their pimps as daddy. And final quick thing is Pimp and Ken became a legend at the age of 16. So he was a child, just like Butters. Anyway, getting into the episode. So the episode starts off with Butters hanging from his underwear on a tetherball. And the boys have formed a circle around him, and they're basically witnessing what is being done to Butters. And Stan walks up and asks why they're bullying Butters. And Butters responds himself and says, I'm 9 years old, and anyone who hasn't kissed a girl by the fourth grade is a dork. And basically, another boy comes up and he says that there's a girl named Sally that will kiss any boy that pays her. And Kyle butts in and tells Butters, don't do this. And Cartman, of course, eggs him on to do it. And so I really like that they show that interaction with Butters and the girl, because you can tell like Butters is super uncomfortable and the girl's just basically like, hey, do you have the $5? And Butters winds up leaving, and the boys are praising him. And so Butters, being the good boy that he is, he goes on to think later at night before he's going to bed, like, oh my gosh, I'm a man now. And he starts thinking about the future, and he thinks about this financial responsibility that comes with having a family. And so next day, it cuts over to Butters promoting that a girl's giving out kisses to another boy's table. And he says, oh, she'll kiss you even if you have diabetes. And Scott is interested by this. And he winds up going to kiss the girl. And he quotes and he says, it's almost like having someone care about you after he kisses the girl. And it shows that Butter's getting a cut from bringing that little boy to the girl. And he is really excited about this, and he tells the girl how they could make more money if she's able to kiss the third graders in the morning. But the girl talks about how she has extracurricular activities, so she can't do that. And Butter suggests that they can involve another girl so that they could start a kissing company. So this cuts over to the police for South Park, and basically the cops hear about a possible institution company, um, and they send an undercover cop to target the men that are purchasing, said transactions. And I love what they did with the cop. I would almost bet that that probably has happened with the cop. Even though I'm telling you the story right now, I still highly recommend you go watch the episode because it's so good. But anyway, it then cuts over to the boys, and they're starting to talk to each other about how more girls are now charging for kisses. And Butters comes up to them and he offers the boys coupons. And Kyle again tells Butters, he's like, hey, what you're doing is wrong. And he basically tells Butters, like, you're nothing but a pimp. Butters is kind of like shocked by this. Like, he's like, oh, he's like, a pimp? What is that? And he winds up looking it up, and he sees that, this is a thing that has been going on for many years. And he finds a convention. He winds up going to this pimp convention, and it shows that, he's walking in, and I'm sure it's shocking to see like a little boy there. And a pimp tells him, like, there's no way that you're a pimp because you don't know the game. And it proceeds to show a scene where there's like a circle of pimps around Butters, and they're all spitting the pimp game at him. Butters winds up going home, and when he gets home, his dad asks him, like, hey, Butters, we heard that you have a girlfriend. And Butters responds, and he says, oh, Dad, he's like, that's nothing. Sally's just my bottom B. I have a lot of girlfriends. And his parents are shocked. So the next day, it shows Butters talking to the girls that are working for him, and he is no longer giving them the money. He's holding on to the money. And it shows him trying to recruit other girls to work for him. And it also shows Butters getting freebie kisses from the girls that are working for him. I really love that they showed all those little details. I could go on and talk about those, but I want to get to the main points that I want to talk about. But basically, Kyle comes up to Butters, and he's asking him if he doesn't see how it's wrong what he's doing, and that he's making all the little boys spend their lunch money, and that they shouldn't be paying for kisses. And Butters goes on to say how every boy pays for kisses in one way or another, whether it be through like your time or dates. And he points out where Wendy is yelling at Stan. And Kyle asks Butters, like, hey, what happened to you? Like, because of course, this is like absolutely nothing like Butters. Butters has like completely lost his humanity here. And Butters says he's sorry he's not his little buddy anymore, and that there's a time that people have to grow up. So right after the scene, it cuts over to a frat party, and I really want to know, like, I wish I could know if this was purposefully done. But basically, you see the outside of the frat house with a blow up doll being hung by the neck outside, and there is a character, a college student named Kevin, who had just turned 21, and there's a circle of boys around him, and they're saying that they're welcoming him to manhood, and they point to a cake, saying that they got a gift for him. And the undercover cop jumps out of the cake, and they proceed to have a gang energy drink. I just find it so interesting that it's a mirror reflection of the boys at the beginning of the episode with Butters. And this scene is just like so homoerotic that I just wish I knew if it was purposefully done or not again. But anyway, it cuts over to ladies of the night, real 304s, and one of them looks like she has a black eye. One of them tells the other that they had heard about a pimp that treats their 304s with respect. And then it cuts over to Butters. And at this point, you can see Butters. He now has like real 304s that are part of his company, and he winds up going to like an association of community organization for reform now. And it's he's trying to get housing, and he's trying to see what kind of like corporate tax he should file under. And as he's explaining this to the lady that's working there, the lady winds up telling him, like, asking him questions, and winds up turning him away. And that's when it appears to be her manager that walks up, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And Butters recognizes him as being a customer. Butters winds up leaving, and he gets approval for 2 housing loans, and I am assuming some sort of like financial aid, right? And so Butters asks his bottom B to do something, and then a real 304 responds, and she asks Butters why she's not the bottom B, and that she makes more money than Sally does, which is the current bottom B, and they start fighting between girls. Then the undercover cop comes in saying that he wants to work for Butters, and Butters is letting him know the benefits of working for him when the old pimp of the undercover cop comes in, and he's apologizing for hitting her, and he says that he loves her and that he wants to marry her. And so Butters is viewing this, and he says he doesn't want to get in the way of happiness. And so Butters is like moved by this situation, and he tells the girls that he enjoys being their pimp, but that when he sees real love, it makes him feel like a DICK, and that even though, you know, he liked the company and everything, that he didn't feel like he had the right earning the money from what the girls do. He leaves the company to them. So the episode ends in true South Park fashion, and I just want to give a reminder that the undercover cop is a man, and that the pimp has fallen in love with a man. I hate to sound like a broken record, but I really wonder if that was purposefully done. But anyway, the cop winds up arresting the pimp. And just to tie it back together with the Pimpology book that I highly recommend you read, a quote from Pimp and Ken: "A pimp has allies, mentors, running partners, and agents, but it's impossible for a pimp to have true friends. Friendship requires loyalty, consistency, and love." And he goes on to say that in pimping, there's too much treachery to have the bond and trust of a friendship. And ultimately, the reason why I think you should read the book is that it's very important to know the truth and reality that there are some people out there that share the perspective or perspectives like Pimp and Ken. And to me, at what cost? To me, that's at the cost of your humanity, because that's such a sad and just horrible existence, in my opinion. And in the South Park episode, you kind of see that through humor, with Butters and the realization of what he's doing and what he doesn't have. So I just wanted to yap about that. Hopefully I can have like more videos like this in the future. Hopefully you liked it. And maybe I can do like some reactionary content next and everything like that. Please like the video if you like the video, and follow me on TikTok and IG. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Bye.